Hello, World Wide Web. Welcome to the Hangin with Web Show. I'm GW Pomichter. Thanks for logging on and tuning in. If you haven't already, please go subscribe right now. Click the button. You don't have to go anywhere. Just click the button. Thank you. Don't forget to check out the description down here for links to all of our guests and our partners and people who are sharing these videos on the World Wide Web for us. We are here at Space Coast Comic-Con in Cocoa, Florida, and we are hanging with Leanna Renee Hieber.
Correct.
Outstanding. Leanna is the author of Eterna and Omega. Right here, Eterna and Omega. And she is an award-winning author.
I am.
TOR Books award.
I'm published with TOR, and I've thankfully racked up a few awards, Prism Awards and other award nominations, and so regional genre awards. It's been pretty great. So.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I do what I love. I get to dress in the clothing I feel most comfortable in. I know someone else would look at this and say that's not comfortable, especially not in Florida in the heat. But I've adapted it. See, it's breathable.
Yeah, we got a little breathable.
See, it's good. I have a fan.
Yeah.
This is fine.
Nice.
So
there we go. All right. See
everything I write is gothic Victorian fantasy. So
I kind of got that.
Yeah.
I was getting that a little bit.
You know, it kind of works. I always tell people, if you like my clothes, you'll like my books. I dress like I write.
Nice.
And it's kind of helpful because people look at that and they're like, oh yeah, okay, all right, gothic Victorian.
Choice.
Okay.
I like that. It's very nice. So, Eterna and Omega. Let's get the book blurb for that. Let's start there.
Sounds good.
Okay.
So, Eterna and Omega is the sequel to the Eterna Files, which was the first book in my Eterna Files trilogy. And it's basically X-Files in Victorian London and New York. I have two X-Files teams. They're kind of, paranormal investigator teams.
Nice.
And they're pitted against each other by a dark third party that's dealing with dark magic. And I'm dealing with Frankenstein type of stuff, resurrection of the dead. I'm dealing with souls being split from bodies. I'm dealing with chemical compounds, a little bit of Jekyll and Hyde kind of action.
Nice.
So I'm definitely using homage to the old Victorian classics, but I'm doing it in a new way with a large, quirky cast of diverse characters, a lot of really strong ladies at the fore, a lot of great team dynamics. I love books where you get the Scooby Gang together and the Scooby Gang goes out and solves the mystery. So that's what I do in all of my books, and I have 3 series and they all have crossover characters.
Now, what's that like for you when you're doing the research? You're writing strong female characters in a Victorian era.
And
what's that like?
It's a great problem to have because my female characters come up against the restrictions of the age. However, this was the time in the 1880s where women were like, you know what? We're not property. You know what? We're actually, laws started to be enacted to allow women to be more full citizens. They still wouldn't have the vote yet for a while, which my characters definitely, are on edge about, and they're vocal about it. But there were a lot of women who were really pushing the envelope at that time period, especially in certain Protestant churches like the Episcopalian ladies and Quaker women. The Quakers were very much
really
from the 1700s. They were really about equality. They were ardent abolitionists pushing against slavery from the get-go, from centuries before. So they really were kind of where we are now with the civil rights that we all take for granted now.
And when you throw monsters at these ladies, they're
kind of like, they're like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, that is fantastic.
It's really fun.
It really is. It's a great era to write a horror fiction.
It is.
There's
really definitely a dark side
because the era is. There's so much metaphor there.
Oh man!
If you're a writer and you can't find a metaphor for the darkness and the monsters in the Victorian era, then you hang it up.
Right, because it's there for you. The Victorians were so interested in pseudosciences. All of the books that we're reading now that were written in the Victorian era, they're all sort of a supernatural. They think about the classics that we continuously adapt: Dracula, Jekyll and Hyde.
Well, then we're here. We're at a con. This is the house Jules Verne built.
Seriously, exactly right. And so
fantastic.
that to me, it fits right in. And also the Victorian ghost story is so important. So ghosts are everywhere in my work. They're really the core of what my work is is a good old-fashioned ghost story, really, at the end of the day. So the Victorians were so interested in ghost stories and trying to contact the dead. So I have a lot of spiritualists who are working in that sort of metaphysical, because there were all these pseudosciences that were really, really fascinating. And we are on the verge of a lot of modern stuff. In my books, I deal with the fact that Edison had a power plant in Manhattan in 1882. It was the first electricity. I mean, he was blowing up buildings, and he also was doing a lot of things wrong, like stealing patents from everybody, like Tesla. But so Edison is not the good guy in any of my work. I mean, definitely in the steampunk scene, Tesla is the hero, and he certainly is. He was very much the innovator, and Edison was sort of the stealer of all the patents.
Yes, but it was an idea that once it's proven that it works, now we can invent something that goes with it.
Exactly right. Right.
Tesla wasn't about proving that; he was about the proving.
He was
that does it work?
Yeah, he was idea driven.
Yeah.
He was idea driven, and he also just wanted to better mankind.
We're on the space. We love Tesla here. We're on the Space Coast.
Yep.
Not long ago, a few years back, I talked to some of the professors at FIT down the road, working on Tesla's wireless power. Always working on stuff like that. So that is fantastic. You know the era that you write in.
I do.
So well.
I do.
And you know the literary tropes and figures of the age.
Yes.
So well.
Thank you.
If you could meet a literary character from your era, who would it be?
If I could meet a literary character from the era, I would like to meet, there's a Detective Molly. Baroness Arnowski, who wrote the Scarlet Pimpernel books.
Yes.
She wrote a character, this detective character named Molly, who basically was sort of a Sherlock Holmes of the time period, and she just didn't take any bull. She was really amazing, and they made a TV show in the 70s about her, and these Detective Molly stories, and really, really fun stuff. And I would really love to see her as this female Sherlock Holmes, written by a lady in the early 1900s, set in the 19th century, and it's fascinating stuff.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome. Really good answer. So we've talked about the book.
Yes.
And this is the second in what's going to be a trilogy.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to put the links so you can find those books down below. How are readers responding? You're here. You're talking to
readers.
fans.
I honestly, I love talking to readers, and readers are very passionate about my work. They're also really angry at the cliffhanger ending of the first book. So I'm sorry to my readers. Sorry, everybody. I'm really sorry about the cliffhanger ending of the first book. But don't worry, there's a sequel.
Big, that is the what is it? That one of those hurdles and pitfalls of writing, knowing you're writing a series.
Yep.
Is whether or not you can wrap up that first book in a way to leave people where they want more, but they're satisfied.
Yep.
I've talked to so many writers who started out to write a series, and they said, I got to the end of my first book. I thought I had wrapped up my story.
Sure.
But because of the threads that were dangling, my fans kind of went, no.
Yeah, no, I went with a really blatant cliffhanger. They're mad about that. But and because people are passionate about it, I know that they care, which is good.
And they're coming back.
And they're coming
back.
So, and especially with this book picks up exactly where the first book leaves off, and it is action packed. And I'm really blessed. I have the support of TOR Books. TOR is a company that I wanted to work with ever since I was a kid, and so I really feel like I've come home to them. They really understand historical fantasy, and I'm really, really happy about it.
That is fantastic. And so we want to get into your head a little bit.
Oh, good.
Okay, as a person. As writers, we are subject sometimes to falling into patterns.
Yes.
Favorite word or phrase?
Oh, dread. Dread. I had to tone down all of the dread. I had to tone down the shivers and the shudders that come with all of the... honestly, when you're dealing with all these ghost stories,
that's the post-it note from the editor that comes back and says, if you say dread one more time.
That's exactly what Melissa said, and I love my editor, and she's always right. And I wouldn't necessarily, I haven't said that about every editor, but she's pretty much always right. We've only had a couple of things that I've made specific choices about, and I've told her why, and she lets me do that. But we have a great relationship.
Awesome.
But yeah, definitely, there's a few words that are like of the dread, the shiver, and the shudder variety that I have to watch.
You know, I think you gravitate toward those. They speak to you.
Absolutely.
And so and you get tired of your thesaurus after a while.
I
And you're
know,
like,
I know.
I meant dread. I'm just going to say dread.
I know exactly right. And then sometimes I think I'll go back and fix it later, and then I forget.
Yeah, and the
so
editor
so she calls me out.
They
on
call
it.
you, hey, to fix that.
no.
So watch out for the dreads. Okay. So now, just they go out to the social media because that's where our fans live.
Absolutely.
And they want to know strange things because of social media.
Yeah.
And so 2 things on your bucket list.
My bucket list.
Yeah. What 2 things do you want to accomplish? Or do, or see, or visit?
I want to have, I've been very close to having my work optioned for film and television. I want options of my work for film and
Hollywood,
television.
right there.
So Hollywood, call me up.
Call them up.
I've been really close. So I want to get that next. I really want to see something that I've done on a screen, because the stuff I do, I come from a theater background. I'm a Shakespearean actress by trade and training.
So I
come into this theatrically. So with that, I think it would work really well.
Fun to see it, huh?
So yeah.
Screenwriters, grab a copy. Eterna Omega, and the first book is the Eterna Files.
Yeah.
Okay, and Scully in the 1800s.
Exactly.
You can do it. You can do it. There it is. So, what's the last Facebook meme you saw that made you laugh out loud?
Made me laugh out loud.
Yes.
Oh man. When there was that ill-advised article about how to talk to a woman with headphones. History in Pictures did one that said how to talk to a woman loading a cannon in 1862. So it literally was a lady cannon loading in the Civil War.
And a very cautious man.
Didn't have time for that. So it was really great. And so that, I was like, that made me feel really good. My characters were like on board with that. So
okay.
Yes.
So we want to see the film of the books.
Yes. I would love that.
But it's going to be the film that is the Leanna Renee Hieber story. Who plays Leanna?
Okay, so I really think that Tilda Swinton should be everybody, but I also really would like Tilda Swinton to be me, or I would like to be Tilda Swinton. So pretty much that's
just kind of a
that's pretty much
We'll just Prince and the Pauper for a day for
that's
on
pretty
film,
much
right? Oh,
basically she can do anything. So, and honestly, her and I have the same coloring. I think
so much
I think
less.
This works.
That's right. It's a natural fit, right?
She looks really good in Victorian garb. So there we go.
All right. So this the con scene is a great place to come out and be who you are.
Yes, very much so.
And so, in addition to your own very period cosplay that you do to go with your stories, what is your favorite thing that you've seen? What's your favorite cosplay or creative thing that you've seen
recently,
sitting in there watching?
Here at Space Coast, I've seen some really great. There's a girl who she kind of has that magic girl anime thing, and she's got like a big staff that has a bunch of Gallifreyan symbols on it.
Wow.
It's a Doctor Who anime magic girl.
Little mashup.
The mashups.
Love the mashups.
The mashups are my favorite. I just got back from Dragon Con and I saw Barf Vader from Spaceballs. So Barf, the guy, John Candy character.
Yes.
And Darth Vader, so he was Barf Vader, and I laughed so hard.
That is great. That is fantastic.
Classic.
These are some of the most creative people.
Oh, completely. And so a lot of the people in there. Also there's a steampunk Ursula in there, and then
didn't see that one.
Okay, so you got to check out the steampunk Ursula, and there's a guy who's doing a steampunk version of the magical guy from Princess and the Frog.
Awesome.
And he's awesome too. So they're walking around together. So
this year we got to see they had built steampunk R2D2.
I love.
It was remote control. He was riding around.
Fantastic.
It was awesome. It was fantastic. A little steam coming out. It was beautiful.
Fantastic. And I saw a guy who was in there. It's a teenager who was in there who's doing a really great. Who's the mercenary character in Star Wars.
Oh, Boba Fett.
Boba Fett, yes.
Mandalorian.
So he was doing a really great.
We had a whole Mandalorian army.
Great Boba Fett.
Through.
But he had done it just with completely salvaged parts that he found.
Awesome.
And he was just talking about doing it, and it was totally really well done. You could totally tell who everybody was in the whole, his whole family that was there, and it was great. And I really love when teenagers are using their creativity and coming up with amazing stuff. I mean, I write books, but I can't sew to save my life. So this is stuff I've sourced from all kinds of different places. So I don't make clothes, I make books. But I really love seeing the creativity of this.
It's fantastic. The fans here are creators. The creators here are fans.
It's a big love fest.
It really is, and we have so much fun coming to these places. Thanks for hanging with us.
Thank
we really
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you. This is a
Eterna
joy.
and Omega. We can find you on social media, I take it, everywhere. Yep. So look down in the description for the links. Check out Eterna and Omega, and then go back and check out the Eterna Files. And coming soon, what's next? What's the next one?
We think that the Eterna Solution, that's the working title for the third book. But before that comes out, I have the third book in my Strangely Beautiful saga, also published by TOR, that has crossover characters to Eterna Files. So that is going to be out in June, and that's called Perilous Prophecy.
Perilous Prophecy in June. So after you get done with the Eterna Files, Eterna and Omega, you head on over and start the other trilogy.
Exactly.
And coming in June, you'll be able to sort of get some more of that.
Absolutely.
And then the Eternal Solution
next fall. About this time. This basically just came out, so about this time next year.
Awesome. So we're going to have to wrap it up, folks. We have had a blast hanging with Leanna. As we wrap up, we're going to thank our partners and friends over at Something Unique Magazine, the Florida Book News, Famous Faces and Funnies, Wordfire Press, and the Historical Miniature Gaming Society, the South Chapter, for sharing these videos all over the World Wide Web. We love having great partners. We've been here at Space Coast Comic-Con all weekend, Holiday Inn Express, Cocoa, Florida. Thanks, Dave and Jake, for bringing us in here. We have been hanging with Leanna Renee Hieber, the author of Eterna and Omega. Remember, subscribe, log on, tune in, see who we're hanging with next.
Thank you.